Tut Nerd here. It is December 20th, 2011. Thought I would do a really easy tutorial here on how to do a banner in Photoshop. This is going to probably be one of my shorter tutorials, but I've gotten requests from people to show them how to do this, so this is one of the most simple things you can do in Photoshop. You can see that my Photoshop is open here. I'm just going to go to File, New, and this box pops up and it wants to know what I want to name my project. I'm just going to call it Tut Nerd Banner. And you'll notice here it wants to know our width and our height. When you're dealing with banners for a website, it's best to stay in pixels. Pixels are absolute. They do not change. So, we'll say that the website I'm going to put this banner on is 980 pixels wide. And we'll say we want our banner to be 200 pixels deep. Resolution, if you're doing this for web, which most people would be, you want to leave this at 72 dpi, or dots per inches. Because if you go to 300, you're going to have a huge oversized banner, and you don't want that. You want it for web, so leave it at 72. And then you just click OK. And you have your banner canvas that pops up here. It's 980 pixels wide by 200 pixels deep. The background is locked right now. Now, if you were to want to change this background to be a color or a gradient or a texture, you would need to double click this. I'm going to name it background because that's what it is. Hit enter and you've got an unlocked layer for your background. Now if we double click this, we can get to all the presets here in Photoshop. I could do a color overlay. I can change the color. Notice my web safe colors is turned on. So we'll make it a light gray and hit OK. Hit OK again, it saves it. Now I don't want to mess with this layer anymore because this is our background. So I'm going to create a new layer by clicking this button down here. And we'll call this layer Tagline. I'll go over here on my toolbar on the left and I'll click the type tool. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type Tut Nerd Banner. Now you notice the color of my text kind of blends in a little bit with the background. It's not very bright, is it? Well, since this is my focal point of my banner, the first thing I'm going to do is click the type tool again, come up here, drop down the text size and go to 60. Made my banner a lot bigger. Or it made my text a lot bigger. Now I need to make that color brighter because that's not going to work. Ouch, that hurts the eyes, doesn't it? What if we just go white? White would work. Blue would probably work. A dark blue. We'll say dark blue like that. Now say, oh, well, Tut Nerd, that looks kind of plain. I want to jazz it up some. Well, if you come over here to your layers palette and you double click on the tagline, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can do a drop shadow. You can do a stroke. You can change that stroke by clicking color. I could change it to white. Another shade of gray. And you can just kind of play around with this until you find something you like. I would try to do complementary colors, not two colors that kind of hurt your eyes. You want to do something that complements the other. For blue, it would be orange. So we'll go with orange and we'll hit OK. And right here on the sides, you can mess with the pixels to see which stroke size you like the best. Photoshop usually defaults to 3. but depending on the font you're using, 3 might be too much or it might not be enough. So you just got to kind of play with it. I'll leave it 3. And then say we want to bevel and emboss it. We can throw a bevel on there and it looks pretty cool. If I want to do an outer glow or an inner glow, that would work better with a solid black background, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to bevel and emboss. And you can mess with all the settings here. I'm trying not to make this a long tutorial, so I'm not going to go through all the settings. I'm just going to click OK. I have to caution you, for purposes of doing this tutorial, I'm just grabbing an image off of Google. You want to be careful of what image you drag into here, because if it's copyrighted, somebody could be crawling up your butt wanting money, so you got to be careful. Okay, so we got this nerd over here. But you're saying, tut nerd, but there's a white background and it looks really crappy with this gray background. Well, if you come over here and highlight the layer where the nerd is and drop this down, you have all these different preset effects. And if I multiply him, you can see that it blends him in with the color of my banner. Now, I kind of like to keep them the same size and lop them off at the top and the bottom. But if you're like, tut nerd, well, I want the whole guy to fit in there. Well, if you hold Control and hit T, that's free transform, and then hold Shift on your keyboard and grab one of these corners and come down and pull it up there, and then hit Enter when you're done. Now you've got most of the picture in there. And there you go. That is a simple banner. You, of course, can take more time and play with it and make a banner for your website or your blog or whatever type of online venture you are doing. Thanks for watching.